She knew something was off the second she walked into the break room and saw her own damn face smiling back at her from the side of branded coffee mug, not metaphorically, literally her face, her smile, her haircut from 2 months ago when she let that junior stylist at Ulta try layers slapped right there under the slogan, "We love our employees," next to a QR code that led straight to a web page calling her a shining example of growth culture. She blinked at the mug, blinked at her coworker sipping from it like nothing was wrong, and then blinked again at the massive banner now hanging in the front lobby. Same photo, larger than life, Dana with a photoshopped sparkle in her eye like she just found Jesus, and a fully funded 4001k. She didn't volunteer for this hell, she hadn't even been asked. Char ambushed her in the hallway 2 days prior with what they called an exciting opportunity for internal visibility. Next thing she knew, some marketing intern with a ring light was telling her to smize more like opera and tilt your chin like you're proud but humble. No release form, no approval, just lights, camera, unpaid corporate propaganda. "Congrats girl," her friend Gina from finance had said, waving her phone with Dana's face on a pop-up ad during a ride share. "You're famous." Dana had forced a smile and muttered, "Yeah, too bad I'm not getting residuals." Truth is, she felt like a ham sandwich left out at a board meeting, unwrapped, exposed, and somehow still expected to be fresh. And hey, while we're here and before the corporate lawyers sniff us out, can you hit that subscribe button? 95% of people watching these stories don't subscribe. I'm trying to hit my first 10,000 ever. It's free, helps more folks find these stories, and I promise Dana's not the only one getting blindsided this week. Back in Dana's world, her boyfriend Jared tried to be supportive. "Babe," he said over reheated chicken tikka, "this is cool, right? I mean, they picked you out of like 100 people." She chewed slowly. "Do you pick your dog before or after it learns tricks?" Jared blinked. "Exactly," she said. "Picked me because I already smile on command and hit my quarterly KPIs like a good corporate poodle." She laughed it off, but there was an itch growing in her brain, a feeling she couldn't quite shake, not just about the mug or the banner or the internal Slack emojis that suddenly included her face in a heart-shaped filter. It was the knowing, that little hum beneath the surface when your gut screams, "This isn't a promotion, this is a setup." The joke she made to Jared the night they spotted her face on the side of city bus, that joke was starting to taste less funny. "I should be charging them royalties," she'd muttered, watching her likeness speed down Main Street during rush hour traffic. She said it sarcastically, but deep down something in her had already started ticking, not yet angry, not yet burned, but simmering like a kettle that's just hit the boil but hasn't whistled yet. 9:28 a.m. on a Wednesday. Dana was brushing crumbs off her keyboard from a dry-ass blueberry muffin when her Slack pinged. "Hey Dana, can you pop into conference room B in 2 minutes? Marlene from HR." She thought maybe it was another photo shoot, maybe they wanted to film her saying something generic like, "I love our culture of collaboration," in exchange for what, another mug. By 9:35 a.m. her badge was deactivated. Marlene hadn't even made eye contact. She was flanked by some stone-faced HR goblin named Trent who read a scripted line about structural realignment due to budget constraints, then slid over an envelope like it contained state secrets. 1 week after Dana's smile had been blasted across every major bus route in the city, she was let go with no warning, no severance, and definitely no thanks. "This isn't personal," Trent said with a face like warm oatmeal. Dana blinked. "You literally used my face to sell your corporate values. How the hell is this not personal?" Marlene cleared her throat and did this weird practice smile that HR reps must learn in hell. "We deeply appreciate your contributions." They didn't offer to box up her desk, they didn't even say goodbye, they just handed her a packet of HR-approved platitudes, disabled her laptop mid-sentence, walked her out like she'd stolen something. By noon her company email was deactivated. LinkedIn still listed her as marketing strategist at Gen Vantage, but inside she felt like a ghost haunting her own career. No one returned her texts, her manager was in back-to-back meetings, her friend from accounting can't talk under review. She tried to log into the internal chat system, access denied. She walked home in a daze past the same billboards she used to point at proudly, only now they stared back at her like some cruel joke. Dana with her head tilted just right, Dana with the tagline, "Our people power the future." Dana with a caption that might as well have said, "She doesn't know she's fired yet." At a red light a bus pulled up. There she was again, blown up, cropped, smiling like the corporate Stepford wife they'd manufactured. Her mascara was running, eyeliner smudged, that face on the side of the bus was perfect, untouched, frozen in fake joy. A man next to her muttered, "You look like the billboard lady." Dana just stared forward. The betrayal hadn't sunk in yet, not fully. She was still moving like someone who expected this all to be a mistake, like they'd call her and say, "Oops, wrong Dana, our bad, come on back." But the silence was louder than any apology. She got home, peeled off her blazer and stared at herself in the mirror. Makeup was still flawless, billboard ready, but her eyes had changed. Later that night, scrolling LinkedIn through a haze of wine and fury, she saw the campaign was still live. Sponsored posts, banners, emails with her photo in the header that said, "See what makes Gen Vantage a top place to work." No one had taken anything down, no one had even asked, and just like that the disbelief cracked and something else started leaking through, something sharp, cold, relentless. Her therapist's office smelled like lavender oil and lies. "Dana," the woman cooed with the gentleness of a yoga instructor trying to sell you on goat therapy, "I think it might be time to let go." Dana stared at her deadpan. "Let go of what? My face? Should I uninstall it?" The therapist blinked like that wasn't on the script. "I mean energetically, right, energetically." As if a breathing exercise could imprint her face off a fleet of company subs. She tried. "I'd help her." She tried. She lit the overpriced candle her sister sent. She walked the damn gratitude circles, but every time she stepped outside, there she was, Dana, the digital ghost of a fake corporate fairy tale. Her photo still slapped across web ads, her LinkedIn endorsements frozen like a shrine, and those godforsaken mugs still circulating like a virus. One had even shown up in a Reddit thread. "Look at this company, so wholesome." Her rage wasn't loud, not yet. It simmered like acid in a cheap Tupperware container, clear, contained, but guaranteed to melt through everything eventually. Then came the text. "Gina from finance, who just FYI, they used your face again." Internal newsletter subject line, "Proud past, bold future, you're the past apparently." Dana stared at the message. The subject line echoed in her skull like a punchline from Satan. She clicked through to the newsletter. Yep, there she was, same photo, same tagline, and now she was the nostalgic face of progress in a company that had deleted her like expired lunch meat. That's when she opened Google, not with hope, with precision. Search, image usage rights, employee. Click, employee likeness law, corporate policy. Scroll. Do I have to sign a release if my photo is used in advertising? Pause. Blink. Click. Fell into a rabbit hole lined with legal jargon and blog posts from pissed off actors who'd had their faces deep faked into toothpaste commercials. It wasn't perfect, but the theme was consistent. If you didn't sign something and your image was used commercially, especially after termination, the company might be in deep, steaming legal. That night she dusted off her old grad school textbooks from when she thought branding was going to be fun, not soul siphoning. Started looking at her own face the way a strategist looks at a competitor's logo. Every photo they used had been taken under bad lighting and zero consent. Every tagline they plastered her next to was a piece of evidence. She pulled out her whiteboard, the one she'd used back when she was pitching Gen Vantage ad campaigns for oatmeal startups and eco lawnmowers, and she began to diagram timeline, photo usage, platforms, alt text, captions, meta descriptions, timestamps. They'd given her the weapon. Her own damn face. She wasn't crying anymore, she wasn't begging HR to answer, she was building a case like she was building a bomb, silent, meticulous, and meant to leave permanent damage. It wasn't personal. She was about to make it very, very personal. Nora still wore combat boots with her power suits, and Dana trusted the hell out of that. Met at a dive bar with sticky tables and a bartender who looked like he sold vape cartridges out the back, but it was the kind of place where confidentiality wasn't a concern, mostly because no one was sober enough to listen. Dana slid a manila folder across the table like it held nuclear codes. It contained her original employee contract, a USB stick full of screenshots, and a printed version of the latest Gen Vantage People First newsletter with her face glowing like a cult recruitment poster. Nora skimmed through the contract with a frown, her red lipstick untouched despite the whiskey she was nursing. Then she paused, lifted her eyes. They never got your written consent? Dana shook her head. They told me it was for an internal visibility boost. No release form, no sign-off, just flashbulbs. And Nora let out a breath that sounded like it came from someone who'd fought and won this fight before. Then she said, tapping the folder, they're using your likeness in public-facing media. Print. Digital. Possibly international, depending on that bus photo from the airport. You're not a contractor. You're not a spokesperson. You were a salaried employee. And now you're not even that. And yet there you are. Everywhere. Dana blinked. So what does that mean? Legally? Nora said slowly, they might have just handed you a loaded gun with their logo etched on the barrel. Bar's neon flickered somewhere in the back. A man was yelling about the Mets. Dana didn't hear any of it. Her mind was already spinning with the implications. They have money, Dana said more to herself. They'll bury me in paperwork. Nora raised an eyebrow. Then we plant a forest of our own. You don't need to fight all at once. You start slow, strategic. Document everything. The minute they think you're bluffing, that's when we serve the first notice. That night Dana didn't sleep. She cataloged every ad she remembered, every link she could find. She went on Wayback Machine to crawl through archived newsletters, set up Google alerts for her name, her face, even the slogan they'd paired her with, "She puts the U in future," which made her want to vomit into her hoodie. She started walking her neighborhood not for exercise but for surveillance. Buses, billboards, office windows, QR codes that still redirected to pages with her smiling face and fake testimonials. She photographed everything, dated every screenshot, started a spreadsheet labeled infringement instances do not delete. At the gym she spotted the banner again, right above the smoothie counter, her own damn eyes watching her while she pressed weights. This time she didn't flinch. She lifted her phone, snapped the photo with the date and time, and uploaded it to the folder titled Ammo. Used to be grief. Had become precision. The face they stole, it was coming back to haunt them, and this time it had a legal team. The folder on her desktop was called Hellfire V3. Not case, not lawsuit, not even Dana images, Hellfire, all caps, version 3. Because version 1 had too many typos, and version 2 had too much emotion. By now, her grief had been paper punched into sortable tabs. There were categories. Transit ads, subfolder, buses, airport screens, elevator loops. Digital, linked promos, newsletter archives, banner ads desktop/mobile. Physical installations, billboards, lobby posters, branded mugs. Corporate internal, Slack emojis, email signatures, PowerPoint decks. Every image got a timestamp. Every link got a backup on the Wayback Machine. She created a master spreadsheet with geotags, dates of first and last sighting, and a color-coded severity rating. Red meant still live, highly visible, yellow meant archived but traceable, green meant likely taken down, but screenshots exist. Then came the alerts. Google alerts for Dana Simmons plus Gen Vantage, we love our employees, Gen Vantage plus branding campaign. Her own damn face reverse image searched, fed into every AI detection engine she could find. She even created a burner Reddit account to track mentions of the campaign in r/anti-work, r/corporate hell, that weird subreddit that just posted cursed ads from airport lounges. It pinged every day, sometimes twice. Just saw Dana Simmons on a Gen Vantage truck in Minneapolis. Is she still with them? I thought she got laid off. Oh, sweet summer children. If only they knew. Each ping was like a heartbeat. Not hers, theirs, the company's. Every new instance of her photo was proof they were still bleeding liability all over the city. And then finally, she made her first move. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't come with fanfare. Just a neatly worded email, drafted with Nora's help, and sent via certified mail and digital receipt to Gen Vantage Legal Affairs. Subject: unauthorized use of image, cease and desist request. Dated: Thursday, 8:06 a.m. Attachment: photo of billboard near Pump House Gym, timestamped, GPS tagged, featuring Dana's face beneath the words, "She powers possibility." They didn't reply. 3 days passed. The billboard stayed up. 5 days, nothing. On day 6 she drove by it again. Someone had added a graffiti mustache to her face. It didn't make her angry. It made her more certain. This company wasn't ignoring her by accident. They were betting she'd go away. That her emails would dry up. That her outrage would tire out before their PR cycle did. But what they didn't know, what they never understood, was that Dana had built campaigns like this. She knew the budget process, knew how long ad cycles were planned. Knew that if the billboard was still up after her first letter, it wasn't a delay, it was a dismissal. Fine. Let them dismiss her. Because in a few weeks, they wouldn't just remember her face. They'd wish to God they never used it. Dana had never used TikTok for anything other than stalking exes and watching raccoons eat grapes. But that night, lit only by the cold glow of her laptop and the soft hum of righteous fury, she opened the app and hit record. No makeup. Hoodie up. No trending sounds. Just her voice, calm and surgical. "Hi, I'm Dana. You might have seen my face on a billboard or a newsletter or an airport urinal TV. I was the poster child for Gen Vantage's We Love Our Employees campaign. They fired me 1 week after the launch." She included the screenshots. The email lockout. Timestamp. Billboard. The Slack emoji with her face giving a thumbs up like she was thrilled to be exploited. They never asked permission. They never paid me. They never even took the ads down. So I did what they thought I wouldn't. I lawyered up. She ended it with a stitched smile. Not bitter. Not broken. Just exact. And then she hit post. It took 7 hours. That's all. By breakfast, she had 48K views. By lunch, 200K. By the time she poured her second glass of boxed wine that night, it had crossed 1 million. Comments poured in like rain off a broken gutter. "You're kidding. That's illegal, right? Just saw your face on a digital screen in LAX today. What the hell? This is why HR stands for Hell's Representatives. Not Our People First LMFAO." Reddit picked it up next. r/anti-work, r/marketing horror, even r/a chimed in when a user found cached ad copy from the campaign site with the caption, "Dana Simmons represents our culture of integrity and respect." Another linked a leaked PDF of Gen Vantage internal talking points. Slide 4 literally said, "Employees are our greatest asset." The internet disagreed. Then came LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn, the land of pretend positivity and humble brags. Someone reposted Dana's TikTok with the caption, "If this is how you treat your employees, maybe don't put their faces on buses." It exploded. HR managers commented. Brand strategists dissected it. People started tagging Gen Vantage's CEO under Dana's face like it was an execution wall. But Dana wasn't watching the numbers. She was in Nora's office. Hardwood desk, stacks of legal briefs, a printer that whined like it knew vengeance was being summoned. Nora slid the papers across to her. Formal suit. Unauthorized commercial usage post-termination. Emotional damages. Intentional infliction of reputational harm. All wrapped in a pretty little bow. Dana signed. Her hand didn't shake. That night, for the first time in weeks, she slept. Not peacefully, her brain still buzzed like a generator, but deeply, heavily. Because for the first time since she'd been erased, she was seen. Not as a slogan. Not as an asset. Not as some risk-screened mascot for performative capitalism. She was Dana. Angry. Sharp. Documented. And loud. But it still wasn't enough. They had taken her image and turned it into a mask for their rot. Now she wanted more than justice. She wanted to rip the whole mask off. They came crawling, not with a phone call, not with an apology, but with a passive-aggressive PR email titled, "Corrective Measures in Progress." Gen Vantage posted a vague buzzword note to their corporate blog claiming that a limited number of promotional assets were deployed without full compliance review due to a clerical oversight. Clerical oversight. Like Dana's face just tripped into a six-figure ad campaign. Like someone accidentally slipped and fell into Adobe Photoshop, exported her smile, and plastered it across 10 major metro markets. They started pulling some of the more obvious assets, the rotating airport lounge screens, a few billboards in major cities, even the QR code that used to lead to a corporate fluff video with Dana opening a full leather portfolio and saying at Gen Vantage, "We're not just colleagues, we're family." But Dana had time-stamped everything. She tracked not just the where but the when, geotagged images, metadata backups, even FTP file dates scraped from open web caches the intern team hadn't bothered to lock down. She filed it all into the lawsuit, itemized. There was an exhibit just for transit ads, another for regional ad buys, a folder titled Merchandise Crimes, Dana's face on a tote bag. And then the email leaked. It wasn't even from legal. It was from some mid-tier VP with a buzz cut of entitlement who wrote, "Don't stress it, she'll settle." These people always do once the lawyers start talking. These people. Dana read that line 5 times, each syllable sharpening into a dagger. She didn't scream. She didn't throw her coffee against the wall. She copied the email into her Hellfire V4 folder and started highlighting every phrase that could be legally interpreted as condescension, defamation, or malicious intent. And when Nora called later that week with their first offer, Dana didn't hesitate, $50,000 and a gag order. That was their idea of making it right. She laughed. Not a polite chuckle, a full-body, insulted exhale that sounded like a woman who'd just been offered a coupon for free fries after being hit by a semi-truck. "No," Dana said. "You want to counter?" Nora asked. "I want the trial," she replied. "I want discovery. I want email chains. I want names. I want receipts. And I want their CMO to sit across from me and explain under oath how a clerical error got my face on 30 different platforms." From that moment on, it wasn't about a paycheck. They made it personal. They banked on silence, on fear, on the ancient HR doctrine that says if you bury a person in jargon and NDAs long enough, they'll just vanish. But Dana wasn't vanishing. She was sharpening. And soon they'd understand exactly what they unleashed when they didn't hit reply all. Discovery hit Gen Vantage like a brick through a stained glass window. The company had tried to play it cute, submitting half-redacted PDFs and claiming their internal communications were protected. Nora shredded that argument in under 15 minutes with precedent and a smile that could slice marble. Then the real files started flowing in. And what spilled out was pure, unfiltered corporate rot. It was an email chain from 6 months prior titled, "Campaign Asset Clearance Urgent." The external ad agency, one Dana had worked with during her final projects, had flagged her image use with a polite but pointed warning. "Please confirm that all talent, internal or otherwise, have signed appropriate release forms for public-facing placements." Response from HR, "She's an employee, we don't need to waste time chasing signatures." Another gem from a VP named Bryce, the same guy who once tried to start a podcast called Brandgasm. "She's lucky we featured her at all. Most people would kill for that kind of exposure. Besides, she'll be too broke to fight us once the severance dries up. LOL. They actually wrote LOL. Nora printed that one on paper so thick it could double as body armor. It didn't stop there. Internal Slack messages between the marketing team read like the script of a dystopian sitcom. The billboard rollout starts tomorrow. Hopefully Dana doesn't notice. She's still up in half of SoCal. Can we deepfake the smile if we have to pull her? Asking for budget by the end of the week. Nora had assembled a binder thicker than a phone book. Labeled simply, Exhibit D. Evidence of willful disregard. On the cover in bold, she had printed Dana's face. The words, "They thought she'd shut up." The media got hold of it, by accident or maybe not. Maybe someone in the courthouse tipped off a reporter with a grudge. Either way, the headlines landed like artillery. Ex-employee sues Gen Vantage for unauthorized image use. They fired me and kept my face. Billboards, lies, and legal fees. How a marketing campaign backfired spectacularly. Company said she'd be too broke to fight. They were wrong. Dana didn't smile when she read them. She just nodded. Slow. Controlled. Like a storm that knew it had already flooded the valley. She wasn't a victim anymore. She was a warning. An example they'd study in HR seminars and crisis comms workshops for years to come. Don't use someone's likeness without consent. Don't underestimate the quiet ones. Don't put your face on mugs you can't afford to smash. The final court date was set. Courtroom would be packed. Media badges. Sketch artists. Curious onlookers pretending to be interns. Gen Vantage had flown in their outside counsel. Dana had flown in her parents. And Nora. She had one last surprise. The night before trial, Dana met her in the hotel lounge. No suits. No briefcases. Just bourbon and breath. "We ready?" Dana asked. Nora slid a USB drive across the table. Found something fun in their internal Slack backups. Dana plugged it into her laptop. Hit play. And watched a Gen Vantage internal brand webinar. A mid-level director explaining the campaign rollout. Slide 17, Dana's face. Audio, she didn't sign a release, but nobody's going to sue over a mug. Dana sat back in her chair. "That's not a mug," she said. "Nope," Nora replied. "It's a Molotov cocktail." The courtroom smelled like dry wood and sweat. The kind of space where legacies come to die quietly and under fluorescent lighting. Dana sat at the plaintiff's table in a navy blazer she borrowed from Nora's closet. Fingers locked together. Eyes calm. Not zen. Not numb. Just focused. She wasn't here for drama. She was here for a ledger to balance. Across from her, Gen Vantage's legal team looked like a row of mannequins dipped in regret. Their CMO sat stiffly, lips pursed, trying not to look at the giant TV screen where Nora was mid-slide presentation. Slide 1, a split screen. On the left, Dana's billboard face with "Our people first." On the right, the leaked email, "She'll be too broke to fight us." Nora turned to the jury. Pointer in hand. Like a surgeon about to make the first cut. "Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a case of a simple clerical error. This is about a company that knowingly, willfully, repeatedly exploited a person's identity for commercial gain, without permission, after cutting her loose like yesterday's trash." Then came the numbers. Dana hadn't just sued for emotional damages. Nora had done the math, calculated CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, for each ad channel used, traffic reports from the billboard agencies, reach estimates from the web analytics, average foot traffic from the airport placements. Every unauthorized impression. Every view. Every mug photo that made its way into a recruitment kit. Multiplied. Itemized. Summed. Final slide, $2.7 million in damages. A few jurors audibly inhaled. But it wasn't just the money. Nora's closing argument was simple. They treated her face like a product. But Dana Simmons is not a product. She's a person. And she deserves more than silence and spin. Deliberation took less than a day. When the verdict was read, Dana didn't flinch. The jury sided with her. The awarded amount, $740,000. Not the full ask. But enough to make every boardroom executive at Gen Vantage wish they'd stuck with stock photography. More importantly, the court ordered a public apology, front page of the company's site, all social platforms, and a full campaign takedown within 72 hours. A reuse of Dana's image beyond that window would trigger an automatic fine of $10,000 per instance. 3 days later, Dana was sipping an overpriced flat white when her phone buzzed with a LinkedIn notification. Gen Vantage has posted a company update. She clicked it. It read, "We are pausing all employee branding effective immediately. We recognize the importance of consent, transparency, and ethical representation. Sincerely apologize to Dana Simmons for the unauthorized use of her likeness and the distress it caused." There was no video. No sad CEO. Just corporate Helvetica on a pale background. Dana stared at it, thumb hovering. Then she shared it with a caption of her own. "They wanted a face. Now they'll remember the name." She closed the app, leaned back in her chair, and let the sun hit her face. Her own face. Unlicensed, unbought, and fully in her control. Appreciate you sticking around, you wise old rebels. Smash that subscribe button, or this fossil might just cause another epic fiasco.